that's been one of the big reasons. By the way, Pitts averaging just 20 receiving yards per game from week 9 on last season. Michael Penix Jr. going to look a whole lot better if he steps up as well. All right, let's go to Carolina next, where head coach Dave Canales thinks Bryce Young will have a very talented group of wideouts to throw to this fall.
I think that the sky's the limit for this group. I think that this is going to be a very competitive team. I don't think people are going to want to play us by the style of football that we play. I'm expecting that. My expectations are really high for this group. They are every year, and we're going to shoot for it as good as we can get. My language to the group is I want to make sure we maximize the talent in this room. That'll take us as far as we need to go, but that's going to be our focus.
Mina, what do you think about the Panthers wide receiver room?
First, I think that was really a lot of coach speak. I think that they're interesting. I think there's a lot of upside. Y'all know I really like the Ted McMillan pick. I like what he brings to the Bryce Young on third down, contested catch ability, outside the numbers. Jalen Coker showed promise last year. Adam Thielen remains productive. Xavier Legette gives you downfield threat. I think if I have a question, it's really about who can win quickly and get you yards after the catch. And along those lines, kind of intrigued by Hunter Renfrow back in the NFL. I'm just going to throw that out there. He was out for a couple seasons with an illness because hypothetically he brings the skill set that I actually think they're missing. But of course, we're going to have to see him on the field before we arrive at a judgment on him.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, he's familiar with the area, Clemson guy. It's good stuff. By the way, seeing Tetero and McMillan out there, it just reminds you his size, how much of a matchup problem he's going to be for defenses. Yeah. I love it. All right, let's go to Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy will be the third quarterback in 3 seasons for the Vikings. Our Lindsay caught up with Justin Jefferson, asked him about another offseason of change.
And it is caught! Touchdown! Let's go! A 97-yard touchdown from Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson.
How do you hit that reset button when you and Sam Darnold had a lot of success together, and then there's a change made, and now there is JJ, who has a lot of accolades coming in, but he's a new quarterback for you.
Yeah, it's a tough reset button, but you got to push it. It's something that I had to do with Kurt, transitioning to Sam, and the same thing from Sam to JJ. You got to embrace it because it is going to be a challenge. Being with a new person, they're learning your moves, you learning theirs.
To the end zone, touchdown!
What can you do to help JJ's job be easier as you make that transition?
Catch the ball. Whenever it comes, catch it. That's the confidence booster for him. He's still new to the system. This is his first real year playing with us. So it's just all about, just staying in his ear, making sure that he still has that confidence to go out there and sling the rock like he can.
It's like that 4th and 18. Just throw it up, you'll go get it.
And I'm going to go get it.
He caught it! What a grab!
I love it. Great convo. Lindsay, what more can you tell us about your time with Jefferson?
Yeah, Justin was incredibly honest, and that probably sounds a little silly to say, but a lot of the time players will say, oh, it's just next man up when it's a new quarterback. But he was really reflective of what their last season was like, right? The Vikings last year were picked to finish last in the division, and then with Sam Darnold at quarterback, were able to achieve what they did in going to the postseason. So that reset button is even harder than it was when he had to hit it with Kirk Cousins. And he really emphasized with his new quarterback, with J.J. McCarthy, it's going to be so important for his teammates to help build confidence. And Justin told me, obviously you heard, catch the football. That is going to help J.J. build the most confidence because not only is he battling, he's not a rookie, but he's a first-time starter. He's also coming off an injury. So he has 2 things that could be in the back of his head that could make it challenging. But the confidence that his teammates can provide is really going to be key.
I love it. Mina, you heard him talking about hitting the reset button again, playing with another new quarterback. Are you concerned about that at all?
Not for Justin Jefferson. I mean, Lindsay could be thrown to him and he'd probably put up 70 yards a game. He's like as close as quarterback proof as it gets in this league. But as far as maximizing his ability with JJ and not falling back from last year, I think it depends on McCarthy, obviously. But there's a few things you want to see him improve on from college. He's got a strong arm. He's really willing to attack the middle of the field, which is, I think, a big part of why Kevin O'Connell liked him. But I would like to see him improve some of his layered throws, throw with a little bit more touch. That's a big part of the Vikings offense, and Justin Jefferson's a big beneficiary of that. look, he can catch anything thrown his way, but the ball's got to get within his vicinity. And I think whether or not McCarthy can improve some of those touch throws could go a long way towards determining what kind of relationship they have.
Yeah, the Vikings ranked 10th in points per game over the last 5 seasons, and some of that has to do with points. All right, there were some big changes on Philly's defense this offseason. Get the Liberty Bell in here. We're ready to go talking about the defending Super Bowl champs. The Eagles re-signed All-Pro linebacker Zach Bond to a 3-year, $51 million contract. Bond racked up 151 tackles, 11 of those for a loss, and forced 5 fumbles last season. They had some big-time departures. Milton Williams went to the Patriots, Josh Sweat to the Cardinals, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was traded to the Texans, and Brandon Graham retired. So some new guys are going to have to step up, like rookie linebacker Jihad Campbell and safety Andrew Makuba. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio talked about all the new faces in Philly.
Yeah, we have a lot of battles going on for starting jobs in the different packages. We got some good players battling for it, and it will be interesting. If you ask me to predict who's winning those jobs right now, it's a guess.
That's the biggest thing. You know, everybody, we talk about competing every single day. And people know those positions that are open, and those guys are. Everybody's out here competing. To keep their job. To take over a job. Whatever it may be.
D-Wood, how big a deal is all this changeover on the Eagles defense?
Well, I mean, listen, when you got guys that graduated from the program, moved on to different things, it's always going to be interesting to see how these new fellows integrate into the offense. But when you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you got Vic Fangio, one of the all-time great assistant coaches that you have, my stress levels as far as this is concerned is minimal. We saw last year, they had 2 rookies in their secondary last year, and Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. And you're talking about at the end of the year, the Philadelphia Eagles arguably had the best pass defense in the National Football League. So I know that Vic Fangio is going to have these young guys ready to go. So I don't really worry about it much at all.
I just want to point something out here. Those green highlighted players, 10 out of 11 of these players in this defense were drafted by the Eagles. It just speaks to how well they have drafted and that pipeline they've created in their development. Go ahead, Mina.
Well, speaking of how well they draft, Jihad Campbell's already practicing. Just to remind folks, my belief was that he was a top 10 draft pick, worthy of a top 10 pick, and that he fell because of concerns about his injury. The fact that he's already practicing is enormous for Philadelphia because I really view him as a dream fit in Vic Fangio's defense. His skill set actually does remind me a bit of Zach Bond's in terms of he's a plus pass rusher. He has that sideline to sideline range, allowing him to chase down running backs, the versatility to drop into coverage as well as the wingspan. And now he gets to play next to Zach Bond and learn from him. And I mean, I just love that pick and I love the player. So the fact that I just want to get him practicing is huge. He seems to be way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And I think as a result, the Eagles defense will be too.
Yeah, Mina, so is there any concern?
I mean, I think pass rush is the thing that I would point to. A lot of pass rush snaps walking out the door. Losing Josh Sweat is no joke. You need somebody opposite Nolan Smith to step up.
Yeah, all right. By the way, the Eagles are going to be tested early. Their first 4 games come against the Cowboys. Camp was an interception, but something that doesn't particularly worry the 41-year-old quarterback.
It's good to get that out the way. It's good to get it out the way. I mean, anybody that's watched me practice over the years, you like to try certain throws at certain times. And anybody that's watched me in the games knows I've been pretty stellar taking care of the football over the years. So there's going to be picks for sure. I'm going to try to fit certain things in. You gotta deal with some sweat on the ball from time to time. So it's going to be a good challenge for me throwing this heat every single day. I look forward to it, but I'm going to throw some picks. But I'm going to throw some touchdowns too.
When in Rome, he's going to be Roman. And it's our job to, teach him how we do things. But not only him, guys like Jalen Ramsey and others, man, we got a lot of new significant players. As a coach, I embrace that challenge of educating them not only about the things that we value, but how we go about our business here. They've all been really receptive to it.
Now I'm kind of curious about who picked off Aaron Rodgers. Maybe Brooke Pryor can tell us. She was there. Like, welcome to the team. I'm going to pick you off. All right, Brooke, what did you see from Rodgers at this first full day of camp?
Laura, that was Patrick Queen that picked off Aaron Rodgers on his first throw of his first ever team period as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And the And two is that Patrick Queen and the defensive players did not do their normal celebration when they pick off a quarterback in practice. Usually they throw the ball up and they pretend that they're skeet shooting it. They did not do that this time. Maybe don't want to put salt in the wound of their new starting quarterback on the very first play of the very first team period. But look, it was kind of a rocky first day for Aaron Rodgers because not only did he have that first interception, but he was also only 1 of 3 on passes attempted to DK Metcalf. But Rodgers didn't sound too worried about it, and DK Metcalf didn't sound too worried about it because those two have had 2 individual training sessions, one before Aaron Rodgers signed and one since. Plus, there was the group workout in Malibu. And DK said he's not really worried about a timetable for when the two of them are going to end up being on the same page. And one thing that might help expedite that chemistry building, those two are suite mates here in Rooney Hall. They share a bathroom. And DK told me he thought that he was going to get to have his own room, and he heard a knock at the door. He went to his front door. Turned out it was Aaron Rodgers knocking on the door of their adjoining bathroom. So sounds like they're, getting to know each other so they get to talk through things, how they see it. And he thought maybe Aaron Rodgers would play video games with him because the other night Rodgers walked into his room and said, video games, huh? And DK said, yeah. And then Rodgers just turned around and walked out of the room. So maybe he'll pick up the sticks next time. He's just getting a lay of the land.
This is incredible. This is reporting we only get from Brooke Pryor. She's all over all of it. I absolutely love it. Sharing a bathroom, that's one way to get really close with somebody. Could be good, could be bad. I don't know. Overall, by the way, ESPN Analytics has, thanks, Brooke, the Steelers projected for 8.4 wins this season. If they aren't able to get to 9 wins, it would be their first losing season since 2003. They have a 40% chance to make the playoffs. Pittsburgh seeking their first playoff win since 2016, and they have just a 16% chance to win the AFC North, which they haven't done since 2020. We're going to stay in that division. This is a large reason why it's difficult potentially if you look at the Steelers forecast. The Ravens defense drastically improved throughout last season. In weeks 1 through 10, they allowed 25 points per game, which ranked 25th in the NFL. From then on, they allowed just 15 points per game, which was the best in the NFL. Their last 4 games, extra special, allowing just 11 points on average. This included holding the Texans to just 2 points on Christmas Day. In the offseason, they added Jair Alexander, who had some fun with Lamar Jackson at practice today. Former college teammates, remember?
Oh, Lamar, yeah. Yeah, he threw a back shoulder. He tried to throw a back shoulder on me with D-Hop, so, I had to give him a little jazz about that. I said, come on, man. I know it's my first day, but, man, it's still me. You know what I mean? It's still me. So, but, it's always fun, man. We can joke like that.
I don't even know what that exactly meant, but I love it. D-Boy, what do you expect from this Ravens defense?
To be very multiple, to run a lot of simulated pressure. And what we saw from the Baltimore Ravens defense last year, when they moved Kyle Hamilton back to the kind of center field position, that's when they really started to stabilize the secondary, because the secondary was a real big problem for the Baltimore Ravens. Now you go out in the first round, you add Malachi Starks, a rangy playmaking type of safety out of the University of Georgia. And what you can do with both of those guys is now you can really mix things up. The disguises and the coverages on the back end, that will make Baltimore